Hey, Tariq, college football season just ended. Alabama defeated Ohio State in the championship game. It was an odd season, certainly, the whole COVID thing. But I don't think it was a very good season for college football. What do you think?
No, I think it was a terrible season for college football. Most of the games were canceled. You couldn't really get a full season out of everybody. Listen, Alabama did what they could. They dealt with COVID. Their coach got COVID. And then they pushed through and got to the other end. That's what really football is all about. Ohio State was really in this. We're not going to play. Now we are going to play. The Big Ten wants to play. We're not quite sure. Then we play. We only play 7 games. So you're basically facing a team that's played 12 games and a team that's played 7 games. It was confusing because of COVID. And I really don't want to slight Alabama in any way because everybody seemed to want to play. Clemson wanted to play. Notre Dame wanted to play. All of these teams wanted to play. So when you get in, you can't complain about it now. I just think that they're going to expand the playoffs, allow 8 teams to get in and do a bigger tournament, just the 4 teams.
Are you for that, Pat?
Well, no, I don't get it. Like, if you watched Alabama beat, which was the second best team in the country in Ohio State, right? Like, they took it to Clemson. If you add 8 teams, you're just going to have a bunch of slaughters in the first couple of rounds. Like, what, not mid-major, but smaller Division I program is going to have any kind of chance against Alabama's, Ohio State's, Clemson, and that not Notre Dame, but whoever gets put in there? I think you're delaying the inevitable of finding those 4 teams anyway. And on top of that, you add 8. Well, then 9 and 10 are going to get upset that they weren't included. 11 and 12 are going to get upset that they weren't included. Until you have a 162-team playoff, nobody's going to be happy.
I think it was Joel Klatt's idea. This wasn't my favorite. And it put an interesting spin, I thought, on expanding the NCAA tournament. He was always in favor of keeping it at 4 to keep the integrity of the regular season. But now he's in favor of 8. He says because what's happened with the 4 teams is that it's just 4 teams, and it's pushed all the good players towards a much smaller number of schools, which is why Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State are there every year, Oklahoma too, and are going to be there every year. He says if you expanded the tournament, eventually the high school football players, the great high school football players who are coming out of college are going to have more options to succeed, because right now there's only 4 teams that matter. He says if you made that 8 teams, you're gonna distribute the talent a little more, and you might have a better tournament. Tariq?
I like that. And I'll tell you what, I'll split you right down the half, have playing games. So you have these smaller schools play one another, get to that level. You have your top-ranked 4 teams, and maybe they play a team that played in a play-in game to earn the right to take on a Clemson and get slaughtered, like Duffy said. Like, you've got to create something where you're going to always – Duffy's right. You're always going to have somebody that's like, well, I was the 5th team, or I was the 6th team, and I was the 7th team, I was the 8th team, I was the 9th team, I was the 10th. And it's never going to end. So why not just create some sort of format where you have playing games where, okay, you want to face Alabama, beat this other team that believes they should be in, and then you'll face Alabama, and then you'll get slaughtered, and then we'll have the same results.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that idea, but going back to your original point, Bill, I don't know how much these kids coming out of high school care about national championships. I mean, these kids are now recruited from 7th, 8th grade. They want to be NFL football players. I don't think these kids go to Ohio State and Alabama and Clemson to make a national championship. I think they go there for the recognition so they can be 1st, 2nd, 3rd round NFL picks. And you're seeing that there are kids coming from other schools. I think it does come down to coaching. I think Ryan Day did a great job. I hate Dable Sweeney, but, I mean, the guy knows how to coach. Same with Saban. I don't think adding those extra teams does anything to dissuade players from going anywhere but where they're going.
And yet I still think there's been a push to the top because, like, Alabama's projected to have 5 first-round draft picks in the NFL in the upcoming draft. And the ratings for this game were bad. It seems to me they got to do something, and maybe expanding the tournament to a little bit, try it. He actually laid out a thing where there were 14 teams and not 14 teams, but he gave buys to the 1 and the 2, which eliminates Alabama having to play Coastal Carolina. And at the same time, it involves more teams and it creates a little something. I just think you got to do something because this thing is lying there dead right now.
I mean, the ratings are down because basically there are a lot of people that were basically, I want to see college football played. And then when their team was out of it, they weren't interested in anymore in seeing Alabama win a national championship. But I will go back to the fact that this was a COVID year. It's a different year. I think we should just leave it the way it is. They are champions, just like the Lakers are the champions, just like the Dodgers are the champions. They are the champions given the circumstances, and just honor that and move forward.